are now on live, Facebook Live Thursday morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to our For the Love of Real Estate. And this is episode number 10 this week. We're already 10 weeks in. I'm super excited to be again with all of you. We are getting quite a following now. And I am Susan Johnson and Associates with Exp Realty. I have a very special guest with me today. I've been kind of holding off bringing her on because I just knew we would be building up momentum here, and I just know she's such a amazing lady leader in not only our industry but multiple businesses. And we've got such a huge following now of not just real estate professionals but many different business professionals. And so today Rosie Rodriguez is with us. And Rosie, I'm going to have you talk about yourself, but I am also going to give you kind of a grand entrance, as I love to do. Rosie not only she owns a mortgage company, an escrow company, an insurance company, but she also is a leader too in our real estate organization, and she has over 1,000 real estate agents within her organization. So it is pretty exciting to have Rosie. Talk about a lady leader. She's a huge influencer and has so much to share with us, not only with business skills, but also in scaling our business and just in leadership in general. So Rosie, thanks again for being with us today. And we just want to, just hang out with you, dive deep, ask questions. I've got Facebook Live. People, please comment. I have a screen to my left, so I'm going to do the best I can to look at your comments too, by the way. So if you see me turning to the side here, I'm going to try to see some comments, and maybe we can if you have some questions for Rosie, I can look and address some of those as well. So Rosie, please tell us more about you and your background, your story, and how you've influenced so many people over the years.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. I'm honored to be part of this show that you've put together. I think it's awesome. And the love of real estate, like you love real estate, so I think it's very perfect.
Thank you.
So thank you. Well, my story. So my story is try to do this in less than 2 minutes, but I jumped into the business. My interest for the business was back when I was about 20 years old, and we actually lost our family home when my parents passed when I was very young. As a result of that, things happened. We lost our family home, and that was kind of like a very that was a trigger for me. I always wanted to invest in real estate, and so when that happened, I said, okay, I'm going to figure out a way, how does this happen, and how can I get into this business so that I can one day buy my home back, and then also I can help other people, right? So that's kind of where my love of real estate started. And I went to school, graduated USC, went into the mortgage business right after that, and grew that over the last 20 years. We have a company for 20 years. Decided that I wanted to be able to control the quality of the service, and so opened up an escrow company for that reason. And then thought it would be fun to go into the real estate world because I was already coaching a lot of real estate agents. And so I opened up a Keller Williams. Mm-hmm. And did that for
operating partner, right? Operating principal.
I was operating principal. Launched that office. We grew from nothing to about 150 agents in 2 years. That was in 2008, and then 2008 happened, and then we went back down, then went back up, and so that was along the lines. I had my son he's 12 now, and I realized, you know what, this is good, but I think I want to shift focus a little bit and spend time with my kids and my son. And so I decided to move away from that direction. And then it was in 2018 that this came along, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. I can do what I love, which was, coach agents, train agents, and then be able to build something a little bit bigger. And so that's where we're about 1,300 in our group right now. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, Rosie, so you're also with Exp Realty, just to so people who are listening will know. It's interesting because I've only been over with this company since February, and I remember, I think it was just in February, March, we were celebrating your 500.
Oh,
roughly. And you're telling me now 13, I knew 1,000, but 1,300 now, that's insane. You do a lot of growth, and you help agents grow their businesses. It's really about helping agents scale and grow their businesses. And
Right.
that's what your focus has been on. I know that, and you're always out, out there and helping people bridge the gaps and growing their businesses. And I love that about you. So tell us a little bit more too. I know, especially with COVID, and you and I've had some of these conversations, which is why I want to put this out here. How, starting with just, the environment, of course, working from your home office,
Yeah.
and then also maybe some of the things you've done, like, looking at your expenses, how maybe you reevaluated some of your expenses, COVID. Some of the shifts you're consulting with agents to look at since COVID has happened, and then also consulted them in how they make their next moves.
That's a really good question. It's a really, really good question, because like everybody else, the minute, well, for me, the minute that they closed down the schools,
Mhm.
I had a meeting with someone in my company, and they said, Rosie, what's going to happen if they close the schools down? I have 4 kids. And I said, that'll never happen, because basically our economy is going to, it would affect us in a really big way. And 2 days later, they shut down the schools. So I was shocked. And I think in our history, I've never experienced this. And that's the beautiful thing about being in real estate, right? We're always hit with something new. And I think that that in your business, the very first thing that you need to do is kind of just stop and analyze the situation and see, okay, where am I, and how am I going to move forward? Which is what I did. I said, this is where we're at. I do have brick and mortar, right? I have an office building. I've got tenants, and all the news about tenants, having, mortgage, relief, and then mortgages. So it took me about a week to kind of understand, all the levels that were going to be impacted, all the layers that were going to be impacted everywhere. And I still believe that there's more to come.
Mm-hmm.
But the very first thing that, as a salesperson, because that's how I started, right? As a salesperson, I just went to what needs to happen now today, so that the bills are going to get paid in 3 months, 6 months, next year, right?
Right.
And as realtors, we live off what we hunt, we eat, right? And so in my perspective, it was like, not just for the business, but also how can I, what's the message, what's the leadership, what's the direction that we need to work on as a group, right? For everybody. And it's the very first thing that I went to is just, we have to generate sales. And we know we're not going to do door knocking, we know the face-to-face isn't going to really happen. So I went into lead generation. I hired a couple of companies, they put together some lead platforms for me, and then started with that direction. And I think that has to be the mindset of every agent that's out there right now, is how can I generate more business now? And second part is, how are we going to do this virtually? Right.
Right.
Because, there's so many things that have changed in the last 10 years with technology, right? I would never put in my credit card on an Amazon site because I was afraid somebody was going to steal my information, right? So I was that person who's, give me a yellow pad, and a pen, and I'm good, right? But over the years, I've had to evolve from that. I had to actually use a computer, and I had to create like a social media profile. Now I had to be able to use Zoom, right? And all of these things. And so evolving into and surviving everything that's happening, 2 things has to be the focus. The 2 things are, how am I going to generate more business online, right? Virtually. And then how am I going to manage that, right? Because everybody's home. I have an office, I have staff, I have people that come into the office and they clock in and they clock out. And even with my staff, first concern, they were like, what's going to happen and how am I going to work from home? Because I have kids. So we had to come up with solutions, headphones, computers, stations, printers. We had to set them up safely at home, right? Because we didn't want them to be exposed. And then, figure out how are we going to work as a team, because we're not all in the same space, right? And so that involved, thank goodness we have technology like Zoom, and then we have, Verbella and things like that. And so, we're able to still meet and come together and collaborate. And the interesting thing about the whole COVID thing, Susan, is that I've realized how dependent I have been, even if, even though I'm with a technology company, right? Or a company that's very strong with technology, I've realized how dependent I have been on the traditional, like, fit in the box, go into the office. This is your, this is your space, all that, how
Right.
we do, how we live. And this has forced me to really look at the business and say, okay, we're still functioning, and actually we're even busier than we've been in the, in the last couple of years. So embrace the tools and the technology now, because we're going to be here for a little bit. We're going to be here for a while.
So that's why I wanted to start with that, because so here's the thing was how you were setting up. We are, of course, a lot of us are getting much more comfortable with these kind of calls, the Zoom calls. We, like I said, we just started, for those of you that are agents that are listening, we just started Monday through Friday, morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. And it's called agentpowerhuddle.com. It's just to get your day started. There's just tips and tricks of not just motivation, but skill sets for moving the needle in your business. And so the market's hot right now. I mean, we are actually very, very busy. And interesting enough, the first thing we did was to evaluate expenses, where what expenses can be, just to kind of prepare, because we just didn't know exactly what's going to happen now. And we were only deemed non-essential for a couple of weeks, and then fortunately we're able to to go out and show property with all the conditions and everything. But in any case, we did just get an office space, but it was just an executive suite, because there was nothing available for a long time in our area. And then when COVID hit, things opened up because people moved out. So I secured a spot real quick, because I didn't have, I know eventually we'll be able to, and at a very low price, which was nice. So I knew that was a good business decision, because I do have that little space, nobody's there. So it kind of works out well. One of the things I love is I listened to one of your interviews before that you coined a phrase called rocket fuel. Do you remember saying that? Rocket fuel. I say that, maybe you don't remember. I loved when you said that, because I say to my agents, I champion you. All right, meaning I support you, I cheer you, I champion you. I love this the phrase you said one day in one of your interviews. You said, when I stand behind an agent, it's like they're rocket fuel. I'm like, man, I love that. That was great. And when you're in leadership and you're standing behind the agents and you're consulting them with their rocket fuel, you're just really looking at their business and you're driving them in a certain way. How do you really look at an agent and direct them with their businesses? What kind of things do you do when you're talking with one specific agent?
Okay, so in terms of kind of developing your team, right, or your office or whatnot, I think the key component is that you have to be a fan of your people, right? And luckily the people that have come into my world have been amazing, and I am huge fans, and I think that's part of the connection. So everybody is different. Sometimes we think that the way that we think, that everybody's going to gravitate to the same kind of mindset or the same ideas or the same business plan. And what I have learned over the years is that, everybody has a special talent, a gift, a way of them, and they shine best in a certain area or arena. And what I have learned to do is to adapt to them so that I can support them. So it's like coaching, because it's about finding the gifts in other people and then being able to help them expand on them, right? It's kind of like, I'm going to kind of compare it a little bit, and people sometimes call me mom, and I don't like it, but but it's kind of true. You know, when you look at a child and you're like, wow, like that kid has like, he's amazingly talented. He could run, or he's super smart, or do you see the way he speaks, or whatever it is? And you can see the talents in other people. So as a leader and as a team, look at your people, look at all of your people and say, what are they best at? Some people are going to be amazing on the phone. Some people are going to be, you know, amazing with people. And maybe they don't like being on the phone, but maybe they can be like a showing agent for your team. Some people are just natural leaders, and they can help orchestrate the team and help lead the team in a certain direction. So the role as a leader is to find the gifts in someone else, watch, stay in curiosity, and look at them for who they are, and support them with you know what they will shine at, not what you want them to do. And that's one of the big keys in leadership, is that it's not about your plan, right? If it's your plan, then you're just going to get people that work for you, because, you know, you pay me, you come in and you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z and do it my way. And that's fine. But, you know, nobody likes to be enslaved, right? People like to grow. They have their own ambitions. That's why they came to your company or to your team, because they want to grow. So find out what's important to them, and then find that fit between, you know, where your company, your vision, right? Find how they fit inside your vision and you fit inside theirs.
Do you utilize the DISC behavioral style when you're bringing somebody onto your group, or, you know, your team? Do you give them the DISC behavioral profile?
You know what? I used to do it a lot, and I haven't done it recently, to be honest with you. I just did it with the team that I have. It was funny, but you know, after doing this for so long, you kind of already know what someone's good at,
You
right?
see them.
You just don't know how much of a certain level they have, right?
Yeah.
But it's very important to understand the DISC.
Yeah.
Very important, because you might expect someone to go out and, you know, get something done quickly, but they're more of an analytical, you know. Can you appreciate their analytical skills? Can you appreciate people? It comes down to like appreciation. You know, if you appreciate people for what they are, you're going to form an amazing team. If you try to change them, you know, maybe they're just not on the right seat on the bus.
Yeah, I also think it's nice though for everybody to understand all the different styles. So for somebody like, I'm sure you, I'm a 99D, 99I, for example. So my
Yes.
I will come out, you know, quite a bit, and so I'll be all, you know, like
Right.
very warm but I do like results. You know, I'm very
Right.
highly result oriented. So, you know, and everything was, you know, my sense of urgency was yesterday, you know.
Right.
So for somebody that is, you know, an SC or even an SI, for example, you know, when they really understand the DISC and they understand me, you know, they understand where I'm coming from too, you know, it just kind of helps us work a little bit better together, because they, oh, okay, they understand where I'm coming from. They don't take it quite as personal, you know.
Right.
They'll just say, oh, that's her behavioral style. So, and then I know their behavioral, so it's a communication thing. So we know how to communicate a little bit better with one another.
And let me kind of, I'm going to just give you a little nugget on that.
Yeah.
This is something that I learned years ago, because there's the DISC, okay? And
Right.
the way that I like to explain the DISC is there's a fire, right? There's a fire, and, you know, this is how people are going to react. So you've got the analytical style that's going to try to figure out the best way to get everybody out, right? The safest way, the best way. That's the analytical. They're going to stop and they're going to think, what's the best way? And then you're going to have your S, and your S is going to be like, is everybody okay? Right? They're going to want to take care of everybody, make sure that, like, you know, we're all okay. And then you've got the I, right? And the I is going to be like, oh my God, you know, they're just going to be like, you know, they're going to be in motion, and they're going to express it a lot. And then you've got your D. Now your D is the one who's going to get you out of the fire, because they're just going to go. They're not going to worry about you being okay. They're not going to, you know, try to figure out the best way. They're just going to, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to move. That's your DISC, right? That's how I like to explain that. Now, for us to become better communicators, or to be able to work in our highest gift, if you put that on a circle, and I don't have a diagram, DISC, okay? DISC. when you're wanting to stretch and really challenge yourself and push yourself to the next level, move in a clockwise direction and you will be more effective. So a D being driver, let's go, right? Very task oriented. When you step inside of your I, which is your people, right? Aspect, when you take the time to be more about people, to be more expressive, then you're going to be a more effective leader. Your I, or salesperson, your I, you're kind of all over the place and whatnot, and you're a promoter and you're good, go with the flow. And then if you move into S, where you kind of like, get some systems in place, kind of, slow down a second, you'll be more effective, right? Your S to C, if you take a little bit more analytical approach, and then you're analytical, if you kind of take some action, you move from A to D, like analytical to a driver, right? Then you're going to be more effective because you're going to take action. So if you move in the reverse way, you're going to be less effective. So a D, because you're task oriented, if you get into exactly doing it the right way, then you become a very difficult person to work with, right? And then so on and so forth. So I just wanted to share that.
So for those of you who are listening, that if you haven't taken a DISC assessment, you can go to anthonyrobbins.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you can actually take one for free. It's a DISC assessment, and you can learn a little bit about that. Rosie, I thought about on one of my weeks to teach this. I teach this live, but I really do an interactive. I actually have everybody bring out a color print of their disc to the class. I bring beads in, so people wear the color of their beads in the class. It's super fun. And yeah, I've done this for huge classes. And so throughout the class, and I'll do different scenarios and stuff, and it's really a great class. So I'm kind of, in a way, I don't want to do it on Zoom because it sort of takes away that interactiveness, but in another way, because I do bring it up on a lot of these weeks, it would be good for people to kind of know at least the generalization more about the disc. We've got some comments here. Catherine Hayter, Kathy's my sister, actually. She's actually back in Pennsylvania. She's in retail, but she's really follows a lot of business courses. She's into a lot of mindset courses. She says she sees a lot of this in retail too. Talents are different, and management acknowledging that makes the store run a lot better, and she's totally right. Thanks, Catherine. You see Shannon's on here. Shane's popped in. Jesse Zagorski's popped in, done some comments for us. Thanks, everybody, for making comments and watching us today. But so it's nice to acknowledge people and see some of their comments coming in. But it does. Everything we talk about really doesn't just relate only to real estate. They relate in a lot of different avenues and areas. So understanding in team dynamics with the disc, I don't know. What do you think? You think I should try to do that for one of our weeks and bring in a disc, just a legally mini disc?
Oh my gosh, I think that would be amazing, because understanding people, I mean, that's our business. That's what we do.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not just real. My whole family has done the disc assessment. It's really been fun. Mm-hmm. And they said it's not just understanding about yourself, you're understanding about everybody around you. So I do that for my team whenever I bring somebody on, and also so they understand, not just about themselves, and I can understand about them, but they can understand about myself and everybody else they're working around as well. I'm going to shift gears.
You said something really quick, Susan. Understanding is one thing, and then the other key component is appreciating.
Appreciating, you're right, absolutely.
Because you're different doesn't mean you're less. You just have a different strength. And
absolutely.
I think that's one of the things that I see in many organizations, that there's not an appreciation for the strength.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had one gal come in, she was a SC, and she goes, "Oh, I wish I was my D was higher." I said, "Why?" She goes, "Oh, I just wish I was a D." I said, "Hang on a minute." I go, "First of all, there's no good or bad or better in any one of these. There's no right or wrongs. In fact, if we had a whole team full of high Ds, that would be an awful team.
You would not have a team.
We wouldn't accomplish anything." The best teams have a compilation of everything. It's like a well-oiled machine. It's like a car having four wheels that runs smoothly. Right. So if we had a bunch of DIs trying to do everything, we'd be just butting heads all day long, and nothing would get done.
Nothing.
So everybody has their strengths, and that's the beauty of it. There is no good and bad. There is no right and wrong. It's who you are and where your strengths are and how you can perform at your peak level of performance. And that's what you want, and where you're going to find your joy.
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and quite frankly, we all have some of every behavioral style in us. And that's why when I teach the class, you have an adaptive and you have a natural. We are trying to get to is your natural. We can
Right.
all behave a certain way when we're being observed, and we
Right.
can adapt, but you want to really tap into who you are naturally, because
Right.
it's at that point you're going to be able to find your joy and find your peak level of performance.
Right.
So yeah, so that's where we're trying to go in everything we're doing. And it doesn't mean real estate, it just means anything you're doing in your life. So so that's why where I was going with all this, and why I like to start with that. And so thank you for sharing, your take on that too. I want to make sure I'm not on the right road.
Yeah. No, thank you.
In terms of leveraging in our shifting in our business now, especially with, I'm going back to the COVID thing because it's so relevant right now. Now things are shutting down again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, video is just getting more and more relevant, as we always hear. On our huddle, again, I'm bringing it up, Wednesday morning, Krista Mayshore was the lead on that one, and she was talking about doing some video texting to our clients, to our sphere of influence, to our to other agents, for our growth, that kind of thing, and just to our friends and family. And she was just giving us some examples of just doing some quick video texts, and it was wonderful. And so are you doing any kind of that kind of thing as well? Are you
I do. Probably not as well as Krista, because I know she's just been doing, this stuff for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But I do use video texting, and I do use, CRM to maintain communication with everyone and stay in contact. And I'll say that when you bring up leverage, before, 10, 15 years ago, we used to talk about leverage, and most of what we discussed was leveraging through people, right?
Right.
Be able to see, okay, this is what I'm doing in my business, and this part of it, I can give somebody else an opportunity in my team, on my organization, to do this part of it. I don't have to be the one doing everything, right? Leveraging through people.
Right.
Now, fast forward 10, 15 years, now it's I think it's kind of a 50-50, where you're leveraging on with technology, as opposed
systems, technology, people. There's a lot of different ways you can leverage now. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things that came up with this whole pandemic thing, and everything shut down, is I started looking at ways to automate different parts of the business. So being able to leverage using automation and technology is very relevant and important, and something that your mind should be working on right now. Even if it's just like your home bills, you could go and, do you have like a QuickBooks thing? And if you don't, like, they had a dollar promotion thing where you can start logging all your expenses and your mileage automatically. They're connected to bills.com, and I'm just throwing this out there. But if you have a small business, you can automate your check paying system through bills.com. It's like $50 a month, but it's going to make it so, like, we were running into the office saying, okay, we got to sign checks. I'll go into the office, sign them, and then you leave them on the desk. And so we found, hey, we can automate this and save this much time on, off of payroll, with people having to run back and forth and things like that. So look for different ways to automate your business. Make sure you've got some kind of a CRM. And I know, with our company, you get it for free. So that's awesome. Make sure you got your CRM, your website. What's your presence like? I mean, I love that you're doing these calls, and just the thing that you shared right now with Krista's Krista Mashore's tip on the daily huddle. I love that. I love that, because you can learn a lot from people that are doing this virtually, and Jesse and Mike and Krista and you, like, you guys are all seasoned veterans in the business that have adapted, right? So that's a great idea. Yeah.
So I've been using Commissions Inc., which I actually, because, and I pay a fortune for it, by the way. So I want to be move everything over to, now that we have KV Core, that's with our company, I would like to be able to move everything over to KV Core. That's my goal to do. I haven't cut it off yet, since I'm still only moving all over. So I'm learning the KV core to make that shift. But I will say this, I mean, I have a lot of things already automated because I'm very much a systems person, and I have a lot of things automated in that, but I have now added in some of the video text messaging. And I will tell you that some of our conversions have really increased because, they're getting some of the, the automated, the email, the property alerts and all that kind of thing. But if I see somebody that has, looked at a property 5 times, or they've responded to something, I might just go ahead and shoot a quick message out. Hey, I've got a couple days open this weekend on the calendar. Would you like to go take a look at some of these properties? And I'll send it in a video instead of just a regular text message. And that has really increased some of the conversions. So little things like that, they're not hard. They're just little, just little, shifts and tips and changes.
Yeah.
And, it's a little too soon to see the huge results, but I think it's time over compounding time, and not many people are doing it. So it's a little bit different still.
Well, I think being able to run your business from your phone, your laptop, and more your phone now is very relevant. And so I'm glad you're talking about texting because people now, they don't necessarily want to hop in a call and like, hey, how are you? Da da da. They just like, so texting, if you're not using some kind of texting system, you're missing the boat. Emails are not getting opened as much as text. That's been my experience. So texting, video texting, and I want to throw out like one amazing system that that has kind of like a sequence outside of KV Core. There's also Call Action with Jesse.
Oh, okay.
I've been using his system, and what I love about that is that it's an interactive text system where you can send out saying, hey, have you been looking at homes lately? And then they'll respond no and say, okay, when would be great? Like the whole series of communication is already built out. So it's like they feel like they're talking to people, but they're not. They're talking to
I've got that in place myself already as well. We have an excellent response with that, actually. Really good system. One other thing that's recently, and again, I've only done this a couple times, but when we've gotten somebody responded and I have talked to them, I've actually set up a Zoom call with them, to get the appointment, to actually kind of do it. If I didn't actually get the appointment yet, I set up a Zoom call instead of just a regular call. So that when we get more of a face-to-face, and then it was easier to get the appointment. So little tips and tricks that, one more step now that people are more open to the Zoom, whereas a few months ago, pre-COVID, I don't know if that would have been, people weren't using Zoom as much, so they probably wouldn't have said, oh yeah, okay, I'll do a Zoom call. But we just closed on a house a couple weeks ago where that's exactly what we did. We were texting back and forth for a couple months because he was on our site. And then I finally said, they were living in Huntington Beach. So I said, hey, why don't we just get on a Zoom call tonight? And he goes, oh, I'm done about 6 o'clock. I said, great, let's get on a Zoom call at 6 o'clock. We got on a Zoom, him and his wife and I, we just started talking, and I set the appointment for Saturday. They were going to come out and look at some new construction. And I said, no, don't go without me. We've been getting some great, incentives on homes for you, So we ended up selling them a resale home. But in any case, the Zoom call bridged that gap and connect them before they came out and went to new builds without us,
Yeah. Well, the Zoom call is like an enhanced phone call, right? Because you're able to talk to people, but then you can actually like connect with them on a little bit more because you're seeing each other face to face. But I'll tell you, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know any other way of doing it, but when I started in the business, 90% of my business has always been over the phone.
Really?
I very rarely went out to people's homes. I never did any door knocking. Everything has been over the phone, and I've never found it as a challenge. I found it very efficient. So to be able to merge from phones to Zooms and, being everybody on lockdown, like people don't absolutely want to, jump in their car and go to your office. And they don't right now, they don't want you in their house. So, like get comfortable really quick. It's not a thing.
I got to tell you, it's interesting because, I was out of production completely when I was in leadership running KW and also that other brokerage I ran for a few years. And so I mean, I did build my business before farming and in the communities, not at all internet leads and, lead aggregate systems. And, yeah, I was on the phones and all that, but really I built my business out in the communities, door knocking, door hanging, farming and all that. So this, I've had to really learn, like everybody else, was a whole different, all the online lead conversion. This was a whole different thing just in the last 2 years that, I've had to shift with everybody else. So I like calling it dancing with your business. You've got to be able to shift to stay in this business the long term, the long haul. You've got to be able to shift with your business and the times. And that's why all the videos and the CRMs and the Zoom calls and that's why I love having you on the show, asking you, goodness, how do you scale and what are you teaching the agents? Is it or do you think we're on track? Are we doing the right things? Can you give us any more? And
I think, I mean, what I do, first of all is, we got to get everybody set up online, right? And so if wherever you're at, you haven't done that, plug into your daily calls. You said they're 8:30 Monday through Friday?
8 o'clock in the morning. We try not to go past 30 minutes. It's just like a morning huddle, but we're doing like some, motivation or some sort of an action item tip, each morning and Monday through Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
It's started out, most teams will have their morning huddle with their teams, obviously. This kind of compiled with, why don't we bring our teams on there? So my team's on there, we bring our teams on there. And I mean, it's not just our organization. There's a bunch of different people from other companies. We haven't even really started marketing this yet. And we're getting, probably, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 people have been on there the last few days. And we just started it and haven't even promoted the whole thing. So
it's 8 o'clock or 8:30?
8 o'clock. Yeah,
8
a.m. and it's just agentpowerhuddle.com and you're on, and it's been really good. So
well, what I was going to say is that plug into what you guys are doing is phenomenal. I'm probably going to plug in as well because I know Krista knows a ton, Jesse knows a ton, and he's a coach, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I do get people set up virtually, and then we talk about skilling up on your communication skills. That's one of the things, because I've often heard agents say, well, I really don't like cold calling, or I really don't like I'm kind of like a face-to-face. Well, face-to-face is gone. So you have to get really aggressive and comfortable with speaking to people over the phone, over Zoom, like prospecting, generating business over the phone. And I had an agent tell me one time, I said, hey, we've got all these leads. And they said, well, I don't mind, answering the phone. I don't mind if I can service someone, but I just don't like calling. I just don't want to be on the phone, reaching out to people. And I'm like, then you probably don't want to be in sales, because I don't mind is not the thing. You have to be excited about connecting with people. And I think that's the thing that a lot of agents get hung up on, because they think that they're bothering people, or they don't like to get rejected, which nobody does. But if you feel very passionate about what you're offering, like, hey, I'm in the Temecula area or whatever area you're in, right? And I am the person you want to talk to because I bring value to the conversation. And the thing is that you're going to go through 50, 100 people, and some of them are going to be rude and some of them are going to be receptive. And you're just looking for the people that want to be in business with you.
Right? I just think, and come from contribution. I mean, come from contribution. Most people that are coming onto our sites, they're coming on there for a reason. And, if somebody's looking, and there's some people that are just browsing, and if they're just browsing, then, let them browse, say, enjoy the site. And I try to flip the switch a little bit. I say, listen, enjoy the site. I'm here if you have any questions. And I'll tell you, I'll reach out from you from time to time. But, I'm always here. You can call me anytime that you have any questions. So, but I do embed and let them know I will reach out to you, so they can expect that they will still hear back from me. Okay.
Yeah. And then let's talk about that too, because if you're on the phone talking to people, if you're just like, hey, you want to buy a house, use me, right? You're going in to take something. You're not really coming from contribution. You're trying to have them hire you, right? So if you're going to come from contribution, where are you? I mean, have you skilled up? Have you skilled up on your market? Do you have knowledge? What's going on with the interest rates? Do you know why the interest rates are at, 2.75 right now? right? Do you know what it meant where, the Fed gave them, the banks the 0%? Like, do you understand what that is? Because when you get objections, and I'll tell you, we'll talk about that. One of the
That's a good
common
one.
objections, one of the common objections right now is, well, two. One is, well, I'm going to wait for the interest rates because I think they're going to go lower. And I'm like, my goodness, like you're at 2.75% on a 30-year loan. Like, how much lower do you need it to be? Right.
Wow.
And I explain to people that the reason that the rates are so low is because the banks are borrowing at 0%. They're not going to borrow at a negative amount. Like, they have a margin, they have a certain cushion in there where they have to cover their overhead, pay their staff, all that good stuff, which is why you end up getting it at 2.75 or 3 or whatever it is. But my goodness, like in my 20 years, and I don't even know when the last time, I don't even know if in history it's been at 2.75. So be able to handle that objection when people say, I'm waiting for the rates and see what happens. That's one. The other objection.
That's great. That is an amazing nugget right there.
And then the other thing is I'm going to wait till after the pandemic, right? That's another thing that you get.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get that, things are a little scary, but let's take a look right now. You have it. Do you pay rent? Yes. How much do you pay rent? $3,000. Okay. So right now you are paying rent, and whether the pandemic comes or goes, you're going to continue to pay rent. Right. Okay. Are you working right now? Yes, we are working. Okay. Well, awesome. So right now you qualify to, instead of paying a landlord's mortgage, $3,000, you can now, start actually owning your own little piece and start paying down your equity and paying maybe $3,500 or $3,800. What if I lose my job? Well, what if you lose your job now? You still have to pay rent. You have a family to feed. You're going to have to figure it out, right? But right now you qualify and your payment's going to be affordable because the rates are low. So that's one thing. I want to hold off to see if I want to sell my house. Okay. Well, rates are low. The homes are selling very nicely right now. Now would be a time to shift that equity into something you really want, that 2-bedroom into the 4-bedroom, because you're just shifting equity. And the benefit is that right now in your current mortgage, you're at a 4%, 5%, 4.5%. You're going to move that money into a 2.75 or 3%. Come on, guys. You're making a smart move from here to here. So
Excellent.
That's just another little piece of,
Love it. See, I knew I'd have all this today. Love it. We've got Mike Bjorkman. You've got Sharon Malpe's on with us, Tanya Burney, Diane Garza, Trisha Moss is on with us, Robert Walker's on, Scott Marlowe's joined us, Shannon Maupin, Catherine Hager, Greg Conley, Mark Dale. We've got a lot of people follow us. Guys for joining. This has been great, Rosie. My goodness, so much value today. We've got a few minutes left here, but we have a real opportunity, and I don't usually bring this up because I do this show for everybody, but I think I would be amiss, Rosie, if I really didn't talk about our company for a few minutes, because you have brought in a 1,300. I thought it was 1,000. Now it's 1,300. So when I have you one-on-one like this, which I don't get all the time, so I feel very gracious and thankful to have you here with me today. But my gosh, I mean, can you please share just a few minutes why you think and what, some of the value of what we bring with EXP and why people are just coming to us in droves and our organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've been talking about a lot of things during this call, and I think that what's very interesting about everything that we do in our organization is that there's no bureaucratic, there's no, this is my broker, there's no, it's not, I'm here at the bottom and you're over there at the top and you're letting me know what I can or can't do. For the first time in our history, Susan, it's the agents that are coming together under a platform, right? We've got the platform, we've got the system, we've got technology, accounting, we've got in California 6 brokers that we can go to. But this is the very first time where, as agents, we don't have to go be a broker and get our license. We don't have to take the liability. We just get to collaborate with each other and bring our strengths together with complete alignment. So we're on this call, and Susan, I'm blessed to have you as part of our organization, and I'm here and we're doing this call. But if I had the opportunity to come in and be an agent that gets to be led, right? Led by Susan. I get to work with Susan, and I get to work with Jesse Zagorski and Brent Connolly. Jesse Zagorski's got like, sells 200 homes a year, and he's a lab coach. Club Wealth.
Club Wealth.
He's a Club Wealth coach. And then, I get to work with Brent Connolly, who's sold over 700, properties, 2 offices, really big in the REO market and a big investor. I get to work with Mike Bjorkman, who's got another 200, 200 to 300 transaction team, #1 home smart agent in the country at one point. Super amazing talent. And then we've got Golden, who sold 18,000 REOs, and then myself, and then Rick Jiha. So anyways, what I'm saying is that what is completely different about us is that you get to work with the best and the brightest, and you are in partnership. I could not pay to get all of you guys to coach me, right? As an agent, I get this for free. Like, I get this incredible support system, and the alignment in our company is created because we have different buckets. In any other company, you're going to get a chance to sell real estate because that's what you do, and you earn that right with your real estate license. You could do that anywhere. But you don't get the opportunity to own a piece of the place where you're at, except here. Here you get to be an owner. And that's actually the reason I came to this company, because they told me that I would get stuck every time, and for my contribution of time and my contribution of growth to the company, I would get stuck. I'd get to be an owner. So I get to do what I already do every day. And I'm pretty good at it. I don't really need my broker to hold my hand, right? But then I also get to be an owner of this company, and I also get to earn residual income, okay? It's awesome for you to be a team player, and most people like being team players. And, if you're happy where you're at, you're going to bring people along. And it's really nice that you get a nice dinner at a fancy restaurant, or maybe a Starbucks card or something. But I like the feeling of knowing that I'm actually a part of what I am bringing to the table. I like to feel like I'm actually a part of this office, and not just in spirit, not just with a smile or a dinner. I want to build something for my family. I want my kids to know that, hey, 10 years after this business, mom was able to retire. 5 years, mom was able to retire, and like I get to send my kids to private school. And maybe, one day I get to cash in a few $100,000, maybe $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 of stock that can help send my grandchildren to college. Like, I like to build for myself. And this company gives us an opportunity to not just, here's a license, here's your agreement, go be a broker, go open an office for me. I collect an override on royalties. They say, hey, go do what you want to do. And if you're one of those people that wants to build, or hey, you've got a best friend who wants to learn from you, or whatever it is, I want you to build for yourself as well. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have the opportunity to, surround yourself with such talent and such leadership. It's a blessing to be able to learn everything about technology, especially right now with the pandemic. Like, we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And then it's a blessing to be able to feed my family as I'm helping the company grow. I'm also feeding my family. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm so excited about it as well. And I'm going to end this one. I'm going to share just a story that I shared yesterday on a group that I was on. And that is that I had no idea that it was going to happen kind of the way it did. Well, I understood about, we have a revenue share. It's called a revenue share. And as you know, for those people that don't know, it's revenue. So it's about our company. It's about production. Agents need to be productive. So it's always about your business growth first, but here's my story. My daughter, I don't know if you know this, Rosie, just in the last 2 weeks, my daughter's an athlete. She's a tennis player, and she just got almost a full ride scholarship to the College of Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's about $34,000 a year for her to go to the College of Idaho. She got $28,000 worth of merit and tennis scholarship, so she's just almost there. And this month, my revenue share is going to be paying for the rest of my daughter's college tuition. Like, wait a minute, not my earnings for my real estate business. You hear? How did I mean, it's my revenue share that it's like my passive funnel
Yeah.
is paying the balance of my daughter's college tuition.
Yeah.
That was pretty life change. When you think about it, I'm going, wow, I mean, that's pretty amazing. That happened so fast,
And let me speak to that, because we speak in very general terms, but I'm going to give you a specific. Okay. I was with this company for 3 months, and, a couple of family members, hey, we're going to do this now. That's fine. They hardly sell. And then 2 friends, one I had dinner with, and then the other one, I had been talking to, and I said, hey, I'm doing this, and they came on board. So I had like 4 or 5 agents in 3 months, and I wasn't even trying, right? It was just like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, in my 3rd month, I had 2 agents who sold a deal, just 2, one guy in Vegas and one guy here in California, which, by the way, this is nationwide. And then I got a check for just $897. And I mean, we make a whole lot more in our business, right? Selling real estate. But I did not realize that, like, just one agent who you refer, like, you'll get a $400, bonus, right? Or, 2 agents, it was like almost $900. I was like, wow, I've never experienced something like that, where the company actually like made good on what they said, like where I actually got like a really nice bonus. So to me, I was more excited about that $800 check than I've been for any commission check that I've gotten for the last 15 years or so. It's
what's so interesting is that we do what we do no matter what. Anyway, we help agents no matter what. It's what we've done for years.
Yes, keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it.
And what we do is we teach the agents that come over to turn and help other people too. It's just what we do, those are the people that we're looking to attract. But anyway, it has been such a pleasure to have you today, and you've given us some amazing nuggets, of course, as well as I knew you would. So thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much. And hope everybody joined us today, enjoyed every bit of this conversation, and episode number 10 today on For the Love of Real Estate. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye now. Bye.